Saturday Coffee Klatch.
And it is the Saturday Coffee Klatch with Heather Lofthouse and yours truly, Robert Reich. Heather, it has been quite some week. What are we going to talk about?
Let's get into how and what's happening with the Democrats caving on the government shutdown. Let's talk about some wins from the week, please, may we?
Please.
Then we've got to get into Epstein's relationship with Trump.
Jeffrey? Yes.
Jeffrey. And then the economy. Let's talk about the economy. But
Sure.
let's get
Okay,
started.
this sounds great. I'm ready to go.
Okay.
The cave-in, let me just say, the cave-in in terms of the shutdown, the Democrats, they have this extraordinary ability to grab defeat from the jaws of victory. And frankly, Heather, it pissed me off.
It pissed you off. It pissed a lot of people. A lot of people were riding this high, it felt like, from the elections last Tuesday, right? Mamdani, Virginia, New Jersey, all these other ones. And then it was, and in D.C., these 6 people, really? This is what's going to happen? So why'd they do it?
You just feel whipsawed. I mean, it's like being on a roller coaster. I mean, one week where the Democrats are victorious, and then 6 Senate Democrats and an independent basically kind of convey the established wisdom about the Democratic Party, the caricature of the Democratic Party, which is the Democratic Party are a bunch of wimps, don't know how to stand up to Trump, even when the Democratic Party is winning. I mean, this is what is so aggravating, because the public was really blaming the shutdown on the Republicans, and the pressure was mounting with the air traffic delays. So something had to happen. Congress was ready. I think Trump was probably ready to actually negotiate with the Democrats on restoring the subsidies for Obamacare. And what happens?
So why did they give in?
Well, they say they gave in because a lot of people are hurting, and that's true.
True.
I mean, the administration, Trump did not want to provide as much food stamp benefits as people needed. 42 million people were actually in need. I mean, a lot of them literally hungry, and so Democrats, with soft hearts.
Parents were saying, eat more at school, kiddos, and we've talked about this, but it's a lot of veterans and it's a lot of people on.
The old caricature was Democrats have soft hearts and Republicans have hard heads and hard hearts. But this was a good caricature, a bad caricature, I should say, of the Democrats having soft hearts and soft heads. Do you agree?
I do, but I don't love that analogy.
Okay. We'll find
another
analogy.
Just being softies.
Heather, are you?
The Affordable Care Act. I mean, wasn't the whole point of having to negotiate was obviously we do not want people hurting in the short term or the long term. But this is a big deal. Healthcare matters, and it matters for all of these people who are taking advantage of the Affordable Care Act because it's what they have to have their health looked after and to have health insurance, and all these premiums are going to go up, and then cave. Done.
Yeah, well, the premiums, right now the premiums are set to go up for millions and millions of Americans who are dependent on Obamacare, and they're going to go up starting in January on average of about 30%. In some places, they're going to go up 50%. A lot of people cannot afford that. That means that people will drop out of Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. That means the people left are going to have even greater needs with regard to health care, and that's a way of undermining and ultimately destroying Obamacare. Right. That's what the Republicans, particularly Donald Trump, have wanted to do since the beginning, get rid of Obamacare. This is their way of undermining it, and the Democrats understood that, and that's why Democrats were holding out and not caving in. But now that they've caved in...
I know. But one thing, I want to be careful about not giving in to this binary algorithm-driven sense where it's everything's good and then everything's bad and it's only one or the other, right? So we had all the elections. The fact of the matter is, Americans and voters are mad. I mean, they are not liking the current status quo. We saw that in all these different local elections, these big upset elections. And so I don't want to just say, oh, well, that was 2 weeks ago and now we're back here. Because we have to remember, D.C. is not, I mean, the stock market is not the economy and D.C. is not the populace. These politicians in D.C.
100% correct. And I have what I have to do, and what I've been trying to do is check myself and say, look, this is progress in a contentious time. There are going to be ups, there are going to be downs, and if you compare what happened on Election Day 2 weeks ago, or more than 2 weeks ago, with what happened last week, well, Election Day was a much bigger deal. November 4th was a really big deal. I mean, it set the trajectory of the nation in a different direction. And last week was 7 Democrats and an independent in the Senate,
6, yeah.
Basically caving in it. But they're not equivalent.
Right. Right. And then we had Katie Wilson, who is the new mayor of Seattle. And so that was an interesting win this week. She's a big proponent of public transportation. She only decided to run for mayor 9 months ago. I love her story.
She's an organizer.
Yep.
I mean, she's been called the West Coast Mamdani. She calls herself a socialist. She was given the longest of odds. I mean, nobody thought she could really win against a very formidable, well paid in terms of all the money coming in opponent who was the establishment, and she did win. It is a very, very big deal. She wants to raise taxes on the wealthy. Hello,
right. And then she has, so that's happening, and that felt positive for the week. Let's just get a couple positives in here.
Oh, yeah, well, there's Starbucks. I mean, the
Starbucks
workers...
exactly. That's what I was going to say.
The Starbucks workers the baristas, 1,000 baristas went out, and they said to Starbucks, you have got to give us better pay, better working conditions, better hours. And a lot of people are joining the boycott of Starbucks. This is a big deal. I think the theme that unites a lot of this, Heather, is young people, young activists, whether they are at the workplace or in politics, they are becoming more active, and their commitment to a better society, to better pay, a better economy, a politics that is a true politics, a progressive politics, is terrific.
And they mean it when they say affordability. I mean, they really are running on affordability and trying to make things affordable. It's not a campaign, slogan.
No, but they're living
it.
this. I mean, what interests me is this Katie Wilson, the new mayor of Seattle, the mayor-elect of Seattle, like Mamdani, like many of these Starbucks workers, they are living what they preach. They are practicing what they preach. Katie Wilson she lives in a tiny little apartment. I mean, she is not wealthy. She's not one of these old political forces. She is really very, very modest means, like Mamdani. And she's been fighting the good fight for years.
Yep. And the Starbucks workers, they picked Red Cup Day, of course, because they're smart, and that's one of the biggest profit-winning days of the year for Starbucks. But there are 12,000, I think it is, unionized Starbucks workers. I mean, it's good on them striking and trying to get what they deserve.
Well, it also has a multiplier effect because if the Starbucks workers, the baristas, are out on strike, other people, particularly young people who are in occupations in the service area, as particularly in service occupations, they also feel more charged up. They feel like, well, if they can do it, we can do it. You find, and this is certainly labor history. There is a kind of an encouragement that happens through the process of strikes. It's not just the one establishment. It really does have this multiplier effect around the country. And I hope this is happening because workers, we're going to get in the economy. You want to get in the economy a little bit, and I don't want to talk too much about it, but working people are really getting shafted in this economy.
I know, big time. So I feel like often when we're having coffee, cheers, we like to talk about the judges who are maintaining what's called the rule of law.
Here's to the rule of law. Here are to the judges.
To the judges. But so each week we find some judges who are either, making decisions that feel rational and based in the Constitution, including during this Trump regime, ones who are either appointed by Trump and are making decisions that don't benefit him as such or don't just salute to him. But so this week we had a judge resign, right? Who had been appointed by Reagan, and he's interesting. Do you want to talk about him?
Well, his name is Mark Wolf, District Court in Massachusetts. But what was interesting to me is that he resigns in protest. A lot of people in government, in my experience, they do resign out of principle, but they don't make a big deal of it. They just resign quietly. But he resigned, and this is very rare for a judge to actually resign in protest and enumerate why he's resigning and saying that he feels like the judiciary is fundamentally being compromised under Trump. He doesn't want to be part of it. He doesn't want to be complicit. Now, part of me, Heather, honestly says we need judges like this to stay. We don't want them to resign. But by resigning and making a big deal about it and putting his reasons out there, I think he helps the public focus on what Trump and the Trump regime are doing to our system of justice.
That's it. And he was very anti-corruption. I mean, he spoke out a lot about Clarence Thomas and the lavish gifts that he had gotten. He had a real record of saying corruption is not okay, through his rulings. And it's interesting that he said, I'm not comfortable staying. This just doesn't work for me. What I'm being, we're being pigeonholed over here. And that's not the point of it all.
It's very important, I think, that the public now sees what Trump and his Justice Department are doing to our system of law. They're making it a lawless system. I mean, if you look at the pardons, extraordinary pardons for now all of the people who were unindicted co-conspirators for the riot on the Capitol and the attempt by Trump to overturn the 2020 election. Trump is pardoning all of them, as he did pardon all of the 1,600 people who were involved in the riot itself. And then on top of that, you've got the Justice Department at Trump's demand going after particular enemies that Trump has, people who tried to hold Trump accountable. Well, this is a travesty of justice. This is a travesty of the rule of law. This undermines what we all should be, and I think have until now, prided ourselves on as a country in terms of what law represents. This is far worse than Richard Nixon.
Someone sent me a short video to look at yesterday, and it had so much of the January 6th footage. And I had forgotten, I hadn't seen it in a while. Remember how visceral it felt to watch it when the hearings were going on?
It was, I remember at the time, I remember seeing it live.
Right.
And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I mean, it just seemed, I know the Capitol, I know those corridors, I know those offices, and to see them defiled in that way, and the, police officers, I couldn't see at the time, but we learned that 145 actually police officers are injured. 5 people there are 5 deaths as a result of this, and it's easy to forget. I mean, Donald Trump wants us to forget.
I know. So then it made me want to have it playing somewhere 24 hours a day because they have so much footage. I feel like it could be playing 24 hours a day somewhere so we don't forget.
Heather, how about my idea that when Trump is gone, as he will be, that there be a kind of anti-memorial of that memorializes what Trump did to democracy.
What's it going to look like? Is it video? Is it a statue?
No, it would be kind of a mausoleum-like concrete structure on the White House lawn after the ballroom is demolished.
Did you write this on Substack? You're saying
did.
this is my your idea. Okay, forgive me. Of course you wrote it on Substack.
No, but
in the
here,
last 5
I mean,
minutes.
No. The notion is that you put in this structure. It's called treason, or Trump treason. You put in this structure all of the records and all of the videos.
Will they all fit in there?
Well, we'd make them
His
fit.
name is in 1,000 Epstein emails. 1,000 emails.
They will all be memorialized in this one place. And the names of all of the people who helped Trump, all of the people, not just the rioters, but all of the unindicted co-conspirators, and the records, all the legal records, and it would face Pennsylvania Avenue. This is my vision.
I'm getting it.
Do you like this?
I'm getting it. Yeah.
So the people, the 350th anniversary of the founding of this country, you have school buses and everybody goes there. It's just a place to remember the threat to democracy, what happened.
Wow. And do you wear black when you see it, or do you wear?
Yes, well, you can.
Or do you wear color? Are you vibrant because it's in the past? I wonder.
Well, it's a somber monument. Ugh. It's like the Vietnam, but it's as somber as the Vietnam War monument, which I don't know if you visited. It's
incredible.
I mean, it's just heartbreaking.
Maya Lin did it.
This mausoleum-like monument. I don't want to go on too long
I
about
want
this.
you to keep going on this.
But it would be sobering. It would be sad. It would be not intended to make us angry, but to make sure we remember. And memory, history is critically important. We have to remember what happened, what the attacks on democracy actually entailed.
For sure. Okay. Should we get into Epstein on that note?
I want people watching this to let us know if they support this idea. I mean, do
mausoleum?
Well, let's call it it's a Trump traitor. It's a treachery monument or museum. I'm going to talk to people out there. If you like this, or if you don't like it, just let us know in the comments. Will you?
Yeah. And also, I'm going to find your Substack on it and see what people said in those comments, and we can bring it back next week. But so we have to talk about Epstein, because I'm sure while we've been sitting here, I don't have my phone out. Should I look on my phone? Did anything new
I'm
come
sure
out on
happens
Truth Social and everywhere else? Why is it? I mean, I have so many questions for you on this.
For me? I mean, you think I know? I never met Jeffrey Epstein.
No, for us to ponder.
Yeah.
So here we are. Emails are coming out, right? Finally, it's been so interesting too. So let's talk about Washington process for a while, if you don't mind. So Adelita Grijalva, sworn in finally. I mean, she was voted in September, and then conveniently the government shut down.
Arizona.
Arizona. Did I say another state? I forget what I said. Or did I not say a
Arizona
state?
representative.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then we have Mike Johnson taking his sweet time swearing her in, because we knew she was going to be the 218th signature, and there was going to be a discharge petition, and we were going to.
So in other words, you need a majority, just a bare majority of the House, to get what's called a discharge petition, which is a way around the leadership. The leadership doesn't want to give something up to a vote in the House.
It forces a vote.
It forces a vote. And this discharge petition is all about releasing all of the material about Jeffrey Epstein, at least to Congress.
Because it's the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Thank you to Representatives Khanna and Massey, who have been pushing ahead on this bill. And so next week, in front of the House is going to say, do we agree with this act? Can we get everything out there? Little things, big things, correspondence in the DOJ about it, not just from the Epstein estate, right? And so then if that's a yes, which it will likely be, we think, right? Then it'll go to
I think a lot of Republicans are going to vote for this.
Right. So then it goes to the Senate. Then what's going to happen?
Well, can I just say parenthetically?
Yes.
I mean, this with Lauren Boebert, Representative right-wing Lauren Boebert, she is hauled into the White House The White House, this is what happened this last week, and the White House is trying to get her to rescind or at least not vote in favor of this discharge petition. I mean, can you imagine?
The Situation Room.
She goes, and she's there with the Attorney General, and she's there with all kinds of top brass in the administration, in this regime, and they're all trying to convince her. And she says, effectively, no, my name is going to stay on that discharge petition.
But Bob, so first of all, the power she must have felt must have been electric. I mean, she must have levitated. Her feet probably didn't even touch the ground walking into the Situation Room. I mean, to feel that power, but also that they are so desperate for these and think they can manipulate and have the power because they have had the power over these, MAGA devotees.
This is a real MAGA revolt, Heather. And I don't know why. I mean, what's your theory? Why is MAGA so intent? And by MAGA, I'm talking about the base, Trump's base, and the members of Congress who are responsive particularly to that base, like Lauren Boebert. Why do you think they are so intent on getting the Jeffrey Epstein files and making them public, or at least getting a hold of them? What's going on?
Well, so, I mean, on the one hand, pedophilia is the worst of the worst of the worst. I mean, people think that, and society has built it that way, right? And so there's that. Then there's also the fact that all of these, I mean, when Trump ran, he was the anti-establishment candidate, right? And so elitist, he's allegedly, I mean, come on here, but I'm just stick with me for a second. And so they are saying we are not going to let these rich people get away with that. That was a MAGA thread. That was a, part of their identity is this thing. Now, they let it slide on a lot of stuff, but they don't on this particular thing.
And the question, and that's the interesting question. I mean, I remember Pizzagate. Remember? I mean, the whole notion of pedophilia is, for some reason, and I think I understand it, so central to the MAGA mythology and fear and the notion of evil and the notion of the devil, stalking America. And so this MAGA mythology about, again, hellfire and brimstone and the devil and pedophilia all merge into this notion, this conspiracy theory. Now, how does Donald Trump deal with this? Well, at first, you remember, during the 2024 campaign, he insists that the files have to be open because this is what Donald Trump does, right? He whatever he is implicated in, he feels he has to get on the other side to show that he's not implicated.
And J.D. Vance was very big proponent, but Trump was squirrely on it. He was on Fox News and they said, would you declassify 9/11 file? Oh, yes. Would you declassify JFK? Oh, yes. Would you declassify Epstein? You got to be careful with that one, he said.
But he's got to be very careful.
That's what he said. But he did
think,
say, let's, reveal the files.
I don't think he anticipated the degree of intense interest in Epstein. It won't die. I mean, he must be so frustrated and perhaps a little bit worried because this ghost of Jeffrey Epstein continues to haunt the administration. And every time Trump and others try to bury it, it comes back.
But can I complain for a minute?
Sure, of course.
So we're studying all of this, and it's on my news feed, and it's on the New York Times, and it's in the Washington Post, and so much of the focus is on what is Trump saying? How is he blaming the Dems? Does this mean it's a rift for MAGA? Political. Isn't the role of the press, and press, I think it should be your role, thank you very much, to call out the truth, to say the context of things? This man what is his character as a leader? Who is he as a human being? We're not talking about that. We're talking about Lauren Boebert in the Situation Room. We are not talking about the fact that he was, I mean, there's the Access Hollywood tapes. There are the credible accusations from many women. There are his felonies, but also E. Jean Carroll. He was held liable of sexual abuse, which Judge Kaplan in his ruling says is synonymous with rape. I mean, this man, who is he that he's in 1,000 emails? And why isn't people talk? The press isn't talking about it.
But Heather, I want to make sure I understand what you're getting at, because are you suggesting that somehow Donald Trump, as a harasser of women and a rapist, is somehow worse, or at least as bad as Donald Trump as a potential pedophile? And you're asking, why isn't the MAGA base as concerned about him as a harasser and a rapist as they are as him as a pedophile? I mean, is that what you're getting at?
I mean, I'm getting at that, but I'm more angry at the press that the way this is all covered is allowing him to dictate what's coming across the airwaves. So you have on CNN, we're going to discuss the Epstein, but I mean, it's all alleged and we're not sure. And Trump hasn't, he doesn't, there's lots of caveats and explaining, and he's defining the narrative. Nothing's been proven yet, but the fact that he gets away with being this horrific human being, which has been proven numerous times, and that's not brought up, is maddening. I think the press isn't doing its job in creating the full picture.
Well, there's no question about it. And the press is not even talking about how crazy he's becoming. I mean, really, his dementia is more and more evident. His loss of kind of, frontal lobe control is more and more evident. Why isn't the press talking about that? I think that, part of the answer must be that the people who control the press in America, the media, are intimidated by Donald Trump. I mean, they are. I mean, we know
they are.
We know that that's been going on.
Yeah, and worried about being sued constantly. But the framing of it all has been fascinating. And so I'm on E. Jean Carroll's Substack, but I think about her often. I mean, I remember when the New York Times said, that she had won these cases, defamation and sexual abuse. It was such an interesting time, and it feels like it should be mentioned more.
Well, I think you're doing it.
I'm
Single-handedly,
doing it, darn it.
Heather, you're doing it.
Calling out the press.
But how about this poor woman who took her own life, who the Epstein emails show that Donald Trump.
Yeah,
that Donald Trump spent time with her after she was part of the Epstein.
That's one email. Yeah, one of the emails says that was released from Epstein's estate. Yes.
And that was from Epstein. Mm-hmm. There's more and more evidence. I don't want to minimize, his harassment and his rapes and his groping, but we have more and more evidence that he was there with victims of Jeffrey Epstein, and this is again, it's significant. Partly because, as you say, this is a vile human being, but also because the MAGA base really can't stand, for good reason, cannot stand this kind of notion of trafficking and trafficking young girls.
And the powerful elites getting away with it all. Not only getting away with taxes and things like that, but getting away with the biggest, most obscene wrong that you can do. And so I think there's this is getting at people in terms of fairness and corruption and power being abused.
Exactly. This is the elites who are immune from accountability and responsibility. And to make it clear that Donald Trump is part of this this elite that will not be responsible, that feels itself above accountability, can do anything they want. That is going to not only bring Trump down, but it could bring down a lot of Republicans. It could make it very easy, maybe easier. I shouldn't say very easy, but maybe easier for the Democrats to take back the House and the Senate in the midterm elections, and generally, hopefully, contribute to a blue wave.
Right.
If Democrats know what's going on.
Right, exactly. And don't cave on certain things. But so we have the vote coming up in the House, then there will be a vote in the Senate.
We're talking about the discharge
Back to the
petition.
Epstein, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Back
Well,
to
on
the
the
Epstein Files Transparency Act.
I think the real point here is, yes, you have a vote in the House next week, and then it has to go to the Senate, and then Trump could even veto it. I mean, he has the power
That
to
would
veto. This is
be-
like any piece of legislation. And then if Trump, I think it would be very difficult for him to veto it, particularly if there are a lot of Republicans who are on board in terms of getting this discharge petition. Well, then let's just say that this discharge petition does become law. Even then, the House has got to, and the Republicans all have to vote on getting the Epstein files. I mean, but the important point is that this keeps Epstein and the files, it keeps it going, keeps it as a story. This is what the White House and Trump can't stand about it. It won't die. It will just go on and on and on and on.
Yep, and they're on their heels. I mean, can you imagine in the White House right now? I mean, it is not a calm, never been a calm place, but this must be particularly unnerving because Trump is not, you see him shouting on Truth Social and saying, it's the Dems and it's a hoax and it's, all of that constantly.
And at the same time, Heather, you've got the House Oversight Committee that, that's both the Democrats and the Republicans are leaking what they have already. Mm-hmm. So this is another piece that keeps the issue alive.
Yep. Can we talk about the economy a little bit? Not that we know much because the government has been shut down. And so all our classic ways of data crunching and putting out reports and studying and comparing over time have not been happening, which, of course, this is an excuse for the Republicans and Trump and everyone else to say, well, I don't know how they're going to use it towards themselves, but the data was never right. Now we don't have data. We'll be hearing that.
Trump continues to say that the economy is fabulous. He in capital letters shouting, grocery prices are down. Well, the trouble is you can't tell people what they see every day, and you can't tell them that they are blind, that they are wrong. They see that grocery prices are going up. They see that with what they're spending more and more for things that they were, just 6 months ago or 9 months ago were not nearly as expensive. And so even without the data, the official government data, and even with Trump shouting, "You're wrong, everything is great, everything's affordable," people understand that he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's out of touch, at the very least. And I think the reality, Heather, I've looked at all of the private. There are private data sources. They're not nearly as good as the Bureau of Labor Statistics or the Commerce Department's Bureau of Economics, but they are good sources. This is what right now the Fed is relying on. The Fed, in terms of making decisions about interest rates, the Fed has got to use what's available, and the Fed is using the same private sources I've been looking at. And those private sources say job growth is almost zero. The jobs are not being created in this economy. In fact, jobs are being lost in this economy. Number two, inflation is really picking up. We see inflation about, the prices are about 27 or 30% higher than they were at the start of the pandemic, just to take one baseline. And thirdly, we see that wages are not keeping up with prices, which means that most people are getting poorer. And finally, number four, what the data show is that inequality is widening because you've got people at the top. The top 10%, the richest 10% of Americans are doing pretty well because they are the ones that own shares of stock. They own 92% of the stock market, the richest 10%. They're doing well because the stock market is doing so well. But everybody else, the bottom 90% of Americans, are really not doing well. They don't have shares of stock. Their wages are lagging behind. They're nervous. This is even before the shutdown. And the shutdown, of course, made a lot of them even more desperate. This is a shitty economy. The Trump economy is a really shitty economy. Let's be clear about it. And this is probably the biggest. I mean, put Jeffrey Epstein. Everything else is important, but this is what's going to bring Trump down in the midterms.
But people there's such despair. And to have this man who runs the country looking and saying everything's fine. I mean, talk about gaslighting on a massive scale. He's so out of touch. And I know we say it's the economy, stupid, but it really feels like it's the economic feeling, right? It's the feeling people, how are people feeling? And it's awful. And then to not be able to spend, and then all of SNAP, we had that whole issue, and working people are suffering, and to be told that's not the case.
Yeah, well, it shows that he's not in touch. But also, remember, we have Mamdani in New York. We have Kate Wilson
yep.
in Seattle. We have these Democrats who are young Democrats who are, regardless of whether they call themselves democratic socialists or not, they are talking about affordability. And they are making commitments to raise taxes on the rich in order to make other things more affordable for the middle class and the working class and the poor. I mean, this is big news. This is a big movement. And we've got to make sure that we encourage it, all of us, we understand it, and we make sure that the Democrats, the Democratic establishment doesn't stop it.
And the longer it goes on, it's harder for them to rest on these ridiculous tales. Like I saw J.D. Vance saying, we have inherited this, the worst from Biden. I mean, a lot of this stuff is going to take a long time for us to fix. At the same time where you have Trump saying, everything's amazing. So the discrepancies, but also it's like you can't keep using these lines that, we inherited.
10 months,
Yep.
10 months into your administration, you own it.
Right, exactly. Anything else we want to hit on? God, I don't want to stop having coffee. What else can we talk about?
No, I want to talk about, I have a favorite movie.
Oh, I think I might know this.
And this is my favorite movie of all time. I talk about it in my book, my memoir, coming up short. This is, the movie had a big effect on me for a variety of reasons. But it turns out that Pope Leo has just said, when he was asked his favorite movies, this is his favorite movie, Heather. It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes. I do love how in your book you talk about it and how it's processed in your brain and how you think about inequality and you think about Pottersville, and it really had an effect on you, but also you just liked the acting and the whole movie, and it's part of your growth. When did you first see it?
When I was 3 months old.
No.
No, it came out in 1946.
Right.
And the FBI, went crazy. The FBI, because it portrayed the capitalist, Mr. Potter, as the evil person. And you look at that movie today, and, I have to confess, I do watch it maybe once a year. And Mr. Potter, played by Lionel Barrymore, is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is Mr. Potter. I mean, they're the same person. And what the movie does is it contrasts what Bedford Falls would be under the power of Mr. Potter, Donald Trump, with what Bedford Falls has become because Jimmy Stewart, playing the lead, has been so generous, and his father has been so generous, as bankers who really are making sure everybody has housing. And then what happens at the end, this is a spoiler alert, what happens at the end is the entire town comes together to rescue Jimmy Stewart and the bank, the Savings and Loan Bank, and affirm that what they want is their vision and Jimmy Stewart's vision of Bedford Falls, and not Mr. Potter, Donald Trump's Bedford Falls. I mean, this is people coming together to stop the bully.
I know. And Pope Leo, he's so fascinating. Reading what he's said over the months that he's been Pope and how he sees the world, I think it's so terrific. And did you see this week that the Conference of Catholic Bishops came together and spoke out against how the Trump administration is treating immigrants? I mean, the faith-based community has been interesting to watch in the past, I don't know, couple months around things. I know there's lots of protests in Chicago, right?
It's absolutely fascinating because you've also simultaneously got the part of the faith-based community, the evangelical Christian Protestants who are very conservative. Well, you have them who are worried about trafficking in young girls and Trump's possible involvement in all of this. So yes, you have these two aspects of religion simultaneously. But let me ask you, do you think that Pope Leo should come to Chicago, Heather?
Of course. I mean, I think that's his hometown. I think he should go and do a mass, and yeah, I think that would be fantastic if he did that.
Well, but I mean, he could come to Chicago, particularly when Trump's troops are occupying Chicago and scaring immigrants and bullying people and pulling people out of houses in the middle of the night. I mean, I think Leo could come to Chicago and make a statement about
I know it.
about morality.
I know. I mean, I'm not going to be the one to ask him, but maybe you just did. I don't know. Well, thank you for coffee this week.
Well, thank you, Heather.
The topics are intense, but I'm glad to be discussing them with you and all of our coffee Klatchies, our Klatchers.
Well, Klatchers, let me just say,
Klatch community.
let me make a final point with regard to all of you out there, our Klatch community, as Heather just put you. It's been a tough week. I mean, I was furious, as many of you were, with the Democrats, or the 7 Democrats, and the independent in the Senate who caved in. I thought the shutdown was important. It was one of the few times Democrats have had some bargaining leverage, and I feel, like many of you feel, just whipsawed by what's going on. But I urge you to keep the faith in terms of understanding that there are so many indications, there's so much evidence of real progress in our fight against Trumpism, our fight for democracy, the rule of law, and social justice. That those indications of progress far outweigh our frustrations. And so rather than be whipsawed, as I was and I felt, I urge you to join me and Heather, I think you as well, in continuing the fight and making sure that we are doing everything we possibly can to guard and rescue our democracy, the rule of law, and an economy that really should be working for everyone and is not. So, Heather, thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
And Inequality Media Civic Action, thank you for all of the work you're doing behind the scenes. And all of you out there, thank you. We will see you next week.